Good evening from me. I don't know what time of day it is where you are, because everybody's time of day is different depending on where we're at, right? Like literally all over the world. But yeah, where I'm from in North Texas, it's like, actually I don't even know, like evening time. It is 12:04 a.m. So happy fresh Tuesday here from Rovinj, Croatia. This is my first time ever in Croatia. As of about like, I don't know, 8 something tonight, maybe almost 9 o'clock. Had a second consecutive issue with the old Flix bus. This one was a few 2.5 hours late for whatever reason. Really grateful for the one the other day that broke down because I met some really great people and made some good friends. But I had something on my mind when I was in Slovenia. We spent most of the time in Ljubljana the couple days we were there. You know, a little country like Slovenia, you know, land-wise, it's kind of an encouraging thought that I could go back there for, you know, maybe like 7 to 10 days and really just like see a lot of awesome stuff there, you know, that country has, as opposed to going to a place, you know, like the US, where, you know, the smallest of our states, or near the smallest, are about the size of Slovenia. And the idea of seeing everything in the US, like even as a resident of the US, the idea of seeing all the great stuff there is, you know, something that would take, you know, a lifetime, right? Or maybe even more than that. But hello, how are you? She was very friendly. I like friendly people. But hello. People who randomly just smile and wave, and they don't have to be like prompted to, my kind of people. But so I was just thinking, again, I'm trying to avoid making a 20-minute video here, which is like every time I have one of these question thought videos, I'm always in my brain being like, oh, it'll probably take like 3, 5, maybe 7 minutes, you know, if I talk a lot. Then I look at the timer and I'm like, whoa, this has been really rolling for a long time. But so my thought, and the reason why is because these little side thoughts before I actually tell you what I'm thinking about. So when I was in Slovenia, Laura and I, and again, we were in Slovenia today, right? The last couple of days, left today, and came here to Croatia by bus. And the bus versus train conversation is a totally different video, which I probably should make because there is a difference. So when we were in Slovenia, it was a different feeling from a lot of the places we've been, particularly, you know, like their city center in Ljubljana. And again, just so I don't get distracted by it later, let me show everybody how pretty it is here at their little harbor in Rovinj. I looked up on the internet before this video. How do they say the name of this place? Because in my mind it was like, it's got to be Rovinj because there's a J at the end. But apparently it's very, very soft. So the locals say it like Rovinj. And so anyway, Slovenia, like it was almost this like Wonderland feeling walking around. I was like, dude. Like, but not Wonderland like Willy Wonka crazy, more just like how balanced it was, how nice it was. Like, there's just like people doing things everywhere and having a good time, but there wasn't that like hyperactive, you know, just like over caffeinated, crazy feeling like there are in some cities, or where like there's so many people and so much going on that there's no way to even really process, you know, the background of where you're walking at any given time because there's just too much. It didn't feel that way there at all. It actually, there was this bartender in this really cool little place, and I took a picture of it. There was like some poetry on the wall. Him and his coworker, his perspective was like, there's just the right amount going on here, you know, not too much. And I was like, dude, you said it right there, right? You said it. Whenever I think of somebody saying you said it all, I always think of Forrest Gump whenever they unplugged the mic stuff and he like gave his speech and the dude next to him was like, man, you said it all, man. But we couldn't hear. But so, in Slovenia, that feeling in the town of there not being too many people, you know, just like the guy at the restaurant bar there toward the end was saying, sorry, I was my finger there. I just got I have Wi-Fi here randomly, like here in the middle of like this little like seated area, and the Adriatic Sea is right back there, which is cool. The Adriatic is a cool word anyway. I need to look up where that came from. And it's just cool having like, you know, that's basically the open ocean, right? Like, you know, if you take the Strait of Gibraltar out there west, eventually you are. I mean, this water is connected to the world's oceans. It's not cut off. But anyway, it's just cool. So I forgot what I was talking about. So in Slovenia, that guy, again, just saying like it was just right. It had this interesting feeling to me about, if I were, let's say I was some like big shot, YouTuber or just like actor or, musician, whatever. If I was just some kind of like, somebody's singing something back over there. If I was somebody who had a lot of visibility and what in the world was that? I get all sorts of random like shouts and stuff from people sometimes when we're in old town areas. That's what that is back there, by the way. That's over there, that's Old Town Rovinj. And it's pretty outside tonight, right? It's really pretty out. Appreciate you guys. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. She just kept being so smiley. I mean, hey, some people I feel like smiling is like they're like having someone ask them to like bench press like 100 trillion pounds, and other people like her, they just like are smiling all the time for no reason. I don't know her, but appreciate it, Joe. Appreciate you. So again, if I was this massive YouTuber or again anybody huge popularity wise, and I was like, Slovenia, man, it's the best place in the world. Like everybody should go there. Like you have no idea how amazing it is. It's just right. It's so beautiful outside Ljubljana, the capital. There's all these amazing freaking natural places to see. The people are really cool. Although the girl serving the gelato last night up at Ljubljana Castle told me the reason she doesn't love her home country so much is because the people are kind of not that cool to each other. She said she made the point of saying that like they're cool to tourists, but to each other it doesn't feel all that like loving. And I was like, interesting. But she, where was she living? She was in Australia, then she spent some time in South America, and she was really cool. But so my point is though, if I were to just shout out to the world, go to Slovenia, everybody should be there. Then what's going to happen is if I have a lot of visibility, or if people discover what a nice, just, really well-balanced place it is, then before long, what's going to happen? Well, then it's not so balanced anymore because people are going to go there. It's just like just like your favorite little bar in town or your favorite cafe or your favorite park or whatever. If let's say that you write like let's say that you're a writer in the local newspaper or a blogger, and you're like, there's the perfect place in town to go sit and get coffee or sit and read a book or, has the best, whatever food. And then everybody hears it. Then all of a sudden, it's not the same place as it was before you said that, right? It's like you're just creating this huge shift, this big transformation in that place. And so when I caught myself thinking about Slovenia, and I was like, this is a place that I mentioned this to one of my friends the other day that we met in the broken down bus, adventure. That like there's a lot of Americans that before Luka from the Dallas Mavericks, but before he like was on center stage as one of the best basketball players in the world, most Americans didn't know Slovenia existed. Like they just didn't. And so now that they know it exists, they still don't really, if you talk about Slovenia to most Americans, they're like, that's where Luka's from. And that's pretty much all I got to say about it, right? Because they're not looking anything up, right? Like, trust me, I'm American, and proudly not like this, where they just, keep on moving and don't really curiously look into that kind of thing. Now, some of you guys might be different too. Like, there's a club of Americans out there and people all over the world that are curious about some things, and then they learn about it because they want to know. But again, you subtract Luka from, the equation, the world equation of popularity, not very many Americans even know Slovenia exists. And so my straight point, about like wondering about the way that the world works is how do you share places in the best possible way? What's the right way to maintain balance and still give people opportunities? I've been thinking about this all day today and a lot of the time yesterday. Because even my hometown of Fort Worth was always this kind of like this small town, big city. And then, you know, we have a lot of industry there, and, you know, for the longest time, the houses were really cheap. You can still get a really good 3-bedroom home there for, you know, $250,000, $300,000, a really good one. And there's a lot of parts of the country, big cities, where you couldn't even freaking, you know, dream about, you know, prices that low. But it's gone up a lot, and it's gotten more crowded, for sure. I mean, like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, not much traffic in the morning for me. Now every day I just know it's going to be there, and it keeps growing. And so, you know, how does the world offer humanity the opportunity to partake and experience all the greatness that life has to offer without just destroying every place in terms of it having its charm, and it's just like, you know, it's chillness that might make it that way. New York's not for that. People don't go to New York for a small town chill feeling. That is, however, why hey guys, how's it going? That is why people like me would want to go back to Slovenia, because it doesn't feel big. It doesn't feel, how's it going, man? It doesn't feel obnoxiously crowded. It doesn't have, again, like that just like ridiculous, freakish, electric energy all the time. And so, you know, I was thinking to myself too, and please, you know, there's a good, you know, golly, Dr. Watson, fantastic person who taught me a lot about race and race studies. She always says, don't race to racism. Don't race to racism. I love that phrase so much. Like, it's important to talk about race without people being like, oh, you racist. So ridiculous, right? Just like people, you know, this is a good friend of mine. I won't say his name right here, but I asked him a question one time. He was like, man, buddy, I don't want to talk to you about politics. And I was like, why? I was like, I'm not going to like hate you or anything. I just had a question for you, but he didn't want to talk about it. And so in terms of race, you know, something I found interesting is my brain has picked up whenever there's been like big time minorities in the people I've seen as we've been to all these different places in Europe this summer. And it's so interesting to me to see, you know, like like a lot of the Africans that I've seen, I'd say 95% or more of them have just been selling things and working in these cities. They haven't been anywhere, you know, like on vacation or like enjoying themselves with free time. They've just been working. And so let's say today that we were to redistribute or increase the wealth to all of the people today that don't have the resources to travel to Slovenia or travel to northern Croatia here or travel to Paris, France, or travel to, you know, Tokyo, Japan, or any of these places, right? Let's stick to Slovenia though. If we were to all of a sudden create for all the poor people in these places, in a lot of the places in Africa, in Southeast Asia, a lot of the people in the United States, oh my gosh, a lot of my friends, if I were to be like, hey, you want to go, you know, spend a month in Europe, they'd be like, yes, but I also want to pay my rent and not starve, right? A lot of my friends would say that. And then I would say what I typically say, which is ridiculous. Again, this is a whole nother video too. I'd probably be like, well, I can probably find the money to help you get there, because I have some weird thing about just doing things like that. Again, that's for a separate video. I just feel like we all live once, and I'm not trying to sit on my money, but a point I wanted to make is about the movie Interstellar. In Interstellar, one of my favorite films by Christopher Nolan, there's a scene where John Lithgow's character says to Matthew McConaughey's character, he's like, back in my day, is what Lithgow said. He was an older gentleman in this film. Great actor. McConaughey is too. He needs to run for Senate, by the way, in Texas. John Lithgow's character was like, back in my day, it was everybody wanted everything all the time. It was like every day was Christmas, and everybody just wanted everything, is what his point was. And I thought about it. I was like, is he right? And I was like, oh my gosh, he is right, really, except for the people who really, really are poor. It's like in Western civilization, you know, if I want to go out to eat, I just go. You know, if I want to go get something, you know, a new shirt or a new video game or something, you most of the time just go do it. Now, not everybody has that experience, right? But for a lot of people, they do. I am a high school teacher, okay? I am not the owner of some huge company or the executive of some tech firm or, you know, some big shot real estate agent. I'm a public school teacher. But whenever I want to go do something, I just do it. And so it does feel like Christmas every day. It does feel like Christmas every day. And so my point is, if we were to create this like Christmas everyday feeling for all the people out there who are actually living in poverty and struggling, how in the world, okay, could planet Earth and its towns and cities and nature, how could it ever sustain that kind of world? You know, I just don't know how they could. But again, if you want to be a fair person, you would say to yourself, well, all the poor people out there, whether it's in these third world African and Asian and, you know, Latin American countries, you know, again, which again, of course, if we want to, I mean, anyway, I'm actually not going to say what I was going to, actually I am. I say, you know, these are basically the non-white places, right? For the most part, right? What are the two really rich countries in the Americas, North and South America? Like, what are the ones that really have the money? It's Canada and the United States, right? They're European ancestor controlled today. The rest of Latin America that has its independence, they're not controlled generally by the European descendants, right? Their population and their leaders are, you know, more native blood, and they struggle. You know, look at Australia, across the freaking universe from Europe and the Americas, and they do very well. And they're, you know, white controlled. The Aboriginal population there, you know, not in good shape. But I got a boat coming up here. Yeah, hello, late night boat. Appreciate you strolling up at 12, almost 12:20 in the evening. But anyway, again, I am coming up on a 20-minute video, which you guys are used to at this point. And I just want to conclude again. This is pretty cool. Hey, is that actually the name of the boat, the Rovinj? That'd be cool. Maybe the first of the most famous boat. I like it. So let's not get too distracted, if that's possible with me. So how are these guys taking this boat? Are you guys getting on that boat?
Yeah, hope so.
Where's it taking you?
Katrina Island.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
We need to get back home.
Nice. That's cool, man. Oh, you guys live around here?
Yeah.
Wow. What's that? Wow, that's great, man. That's cool. Yeah, this is our first evening here, so we don't really know anything.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Nice, I like it. Well, you guys have a safe ride. Have a great evening and a good week. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. That's pretty cool. So that boat's taking them back to the area where they live around here. So let's sum this up again. You know, one of the most famous and favorite things that humans like to say is that life's not fair, right? If me as a American public school teacher can take a month of time to go through Europe, and I'm not literally like counting my like, you know, euro cents to be able to buy stuff, I just, you know, put it on my credit cards, which I pay. By the way, I don't load my credit cards up and let the balance go up. My point is, if a public school teacher from America can go do whatever he wants to do, then that means the real rich people in America, unless they're the kind of rich people, which actually I don't care how much money you make. If you're the kind of people that you're just like, I don't have money for that, I don't have money for that, I don't have money for it, can't do it, because they just are so addicted to their bank balances going up as opposed to living life, right? Anyway, if the super rich people in the United States out there, which there's a lot of rich people, I can't remember the stat, I looked it up. I think it was like 25 million millionaires in the U.S. Y'all have to look that up too. I looked it up because I thought it was fascinating. It might even be more than that. I think it is more than that. But anyway, if that kind of wealth were more standard, right? If the continent, again, of Africa and in Latin America, oh my gosh, some of my friends in Latin America, oh my gosh. You know, one of the people I'm extremely close to in Costa Rica, you know, she worked, you know, these full shifts there and made about $20 a day, right? Literally, think about that. She made $20 a day for a full shift. How are you ever going to go do things like travel the world? How are you ever going to buy a Nintendo Switch, much less take vacations around the world? I mean, literally, how are you ever going to do that? You know, if you are herding cattle in South Sudan, right? Or whatever you're doing in these places, and you're pretty much using the cattle to get, you know, food to eat and maybe trade for some other basic necessities. How are you ever going to go just explore the world in a recreational setting, right? And again, there's a lot of Americans I know who don't explore the world in a recreational setting. If they explore the world, it's because they are business people and they're working. Because like a lot of Americans out there, that's all they know how to do. They can't, like, oh my gosh, you know, actually I don't care. My Uncle Randy, for instance, the only time he wants to take time off is if he's forced to. But there's reasons for that too. There's plenty, you know, hey, there's reasons for everything. The reasons that we do stuff, you know, it's not random, right? It's, you know, our psychological being didn't come from nowhere. All right, so if I possibly can wrap this up, I don't know how to pose a question to you guys about this. I guess just in the most simple form. You know, could this planet, could little countries like Slovenia, could beautiful little gems of magic around the world out there that have just the right amount of people and just the right amount of activity, or even the cities that are huge out there, right, and are you know, I don't want to say struggling, but they're figuring out how to deal with their massive amounts of people out there, right? In y'all's opinion, is there any way that the Earth could deal with all the people out there who live such simple lives or are stuck in poverty? If they all had the resources to do the kinds of things that rich people do, or even public school teachers like me, right? If all those, hey, billions, we're not talking about a few people in these corners of the planet. If those billions of people out there that don't do these kinds of things, if they all of a sudden had the resources to, could planet Earth manage? And I'll tell you right now, again, and you can, oh my gosh, I don't know what you guys have learned about me or not, but I'm telling you, if you disagree with me, you're making my day. Because I've learned that being wrong, I mean, you know, they say the happiest scientist in the world is one who's wrong, because then they figure out that there's adjustments to make, right? I feel the exact same way. But is there any way that planet Earth could deal with all these people out there that aren't doing a whole lot of stuff? If they all of a sudden could, do you think that we could figure out how to manage that? What I was gonna say, I was like, I know I got distracted. I was gonna tell you that my opinion, okay, I gotta get my finger up there to erase that. My opinion is, again, I don't know why I have Wi-Fi here in the middle of nowhere. My Wi-Fi is turned on and I just have this like random signal here sitting, you know, in this little hangout spot by the sea. But I don't think that we are managing it personally. Bless you. If you were to ask me specifically again what I mean by that, I feel like there's more than enough evidence out there based on, like, again, I said evidence, not opinion. You know, the condition of the Earth's oceans, the number of landfills. You know, I know at least in the U.S. I don't know about the rest of the planet. There's some countries that are really, really good at managing their waste. Yeah, I don't think the U.S. is one of them. But I don't know. I don't think even right now that that modern society is. I mean, there's so much consumption. It's mind-boggling to me. The first time I went to Paris several years ago with my daughter and with my best friend Dan, I just saw the just insane amount of like materials coming into Paris every day for all their cafes and just restaurants everywhere. And then I was like, man, if they're bringing in this much stuff, then there's a lot of trash that's got to get taken out also, right? And so just for that to happen every day, I couldn't even fathom it. So I'm going to stand up here and conclude the video, because if I don't, then it's going to be a half-hour video and that's just going to be annoying. You guys could be annoyed as it is already, right? But let me step over here briefly just to show you a really cool, pretty view. And we also have a full moon hanging out back there. Girls, how's it going? Hello.
Hi.
Thank you. I'm just coming over to show a view from this way for a second. It's really pretty, right?
Amazing.
It is amazing. Well said, well said. So yeah, there's a full moon up there with a random kind of like light streaks because of my phone doing weird stuff to it. But yeah, I don't know what this little area is called. Just a nice, pretty little harbor here in Rovinj, Croatia, northern Croatia, right in a zone that makes it very Italian. And yeah, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. So as I walk around through little places like Rovinj, after I spent a couple days in what my daughter and I would call in a baby bear place like Ljubljana, Slovenia, whenever we call something baby bear, it means it's just right. You know, if you know the story of Goldilocks and the three bears, I almost said the three little pigs. Papa bear stuff was too hot, Mama bear stuff was too cold, baby bear stuff was just right. And so yeah, for all these places out there that are just right, I wonder if they could continue being just right if, again, all the people out there that can't afford to explore and experience much, if anything, outside of their existence of survival, if they all of a sudden had an existence of I just had the word a second ago, not surplus, of if they had an existence of just like extra recreational freedom, right? If all those people all of a sudden had, even if it was a little bit, if all those people out there that never leave their home area because they're working every single day to survive, if they even had 1 week a year to like go do fun things and to like fill the world up with their combined presence, their billions of people of presence, right? What in the world would the world look like then? Now, if you're a person who feels like mankind figures things out, then maybe we would, and you might be right. Maybe by the time that happened, we would just ask the AI to figure out how to divvy everything up appropriately, or create enough resources, or deal with the trash and pollution in a way to where everybody on the planet can do everything they want and it won't be a problem. But I don't know, that seems like it might be kind of tricky. So thank you everybody for watching to what looks like right now the longest video I've ever made in terms of just talking about something I was thinking about. And so yeah, in summary, or not summary, in conclusion, I would say that I was grateful for the experience in Ljubljana, Slovenia, for it being a place that was fun and interesting and full of activity, but not in a way that was anywhere near overwhelming. Thank you to all the places out there that just felt like they were in a position to deal with the human impact in a way that wasn't, didn't feel, you know, super toxic, or just like I was drowning, or the people were drowning in that location not being able to handle it, right? So when I think of those places, my mind just, you know, always says like, geez, I would love for this place to not lose that quality, right? Like if I were to go back to Ljubljana a year from now or 5 years from now, and there was just so many people there, and it felt, you know, like just this place that was overrun by too much, that would hurt. That would hurt, right? But then again, why is Jason Martinez allowed to have a place like that to himself and selfishly say, I hope not too many people don't show up, right? I hope that it just stays just right. I hope it's just right so that I can go there whenever I want to, or maybe take some of my friends or my daughter or my family and show some people this place is just right. But I don't want too many other people to do that, because then it won't be my little piece of perfection cake wonderland, right? That I want sitting there waiting for me, right? Whenever I want to go. And so, yeah, you know, I don't even know. Like, I think there's a lot of places out there where, you know, the rich people, and something weird happened with the light. All of a sudden, they're all like doing this crazy, super weird, every single light in the world all of a sudden is just doing this weird stream thingy. But, all right, well, guys, I hope you're all doing very well. I hope you're all doing extremely well. We still have several days left of seeing some interesting places. Tonight, Rovinj has been incredibly interesting. First and foremost, because it looks like when you're back in the streets there, it looks like you're lost in this little like Italian village. It's so crazy. And then being by the Adriatic Sea again is just like super exciting to me. Like, I can't even start to tell you, right? So, hey, cheers to all of you. Cheers to all the places out there that are special and like a baby bear place for you, to where whenever you go there, you feel like it's just right. And it's got everything that you want. But you know what's funny? I met this guy the other day on our boat to Slovakia. And I asked him, I was like, what is something you've learned in your life that's really just been really valuable to you? And he said that adapting, and being able to, having that quality to adapt. And when I think about that, the world is always changing. Every city on the planet was a small town at one point, and it grew, right? And so that's just life, right? There's no way to keep everything the way that it is, or the way that it has been, or just like freeze it in time to where it's always just gonna always going to be that same place, because there's nothing, none of us in our lives, and none of the places we go are ever sitting there the same forever. It just doesn't work that way. So I get that point. I get that point. But again, I'm just asking you guys, you know, in terms of planet Earth, can some people do stuff with other people not being able to do stuff? Is that just the way it has to be? Or can we all do it all, right? Who knows? But I want to hear what you have to say. Thanks for listening to this crazy long video. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions to add to it, if you have a side thought to add to it, if you have anything in the world to talk about in even the slightest relation to this, please do so. Here's to this beautiful evening in Rovinj, northern Croatia. I'm very grateful to be here. Excited to go check it out tomorrow in the daylight. And we'll catch everybody soon. Have a great rest of your day.